Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. This is episode 319. I've got a really great guest here. I've got Julie Stoian, and hopefully I pronounced her surname.
No, nobody ever pronounces it correctly.
Oh, well, thank you. Would you quickly like to introduce yourself to the audience and listeners, Julie?
Sure. Yeah, so my name is Julie Stoian. It's Romanian. That's the nationality. In America, they're like, what, 3 vowels in a row? Like, what is this? And I'm a digital marketer and a funnel builder, and I run a brand called Create Your Laptop Life. I sell courses and do consulting and teaching people how to grow their online businesses through sales funnels. I also work with and alongside of Russell Brunson, who is the CEO and founder of Click-funnels. We do all kinds of fun projects together that keep me very busy.
I imagine do. Thank you so much, Julie. And we got my great co-host, Cindy Nicholson. Would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Oh, hi, everyone. It's Cindy Nicholson here. I am from the coursewhisperer.co, where I help entrepreneurs build and create their online courses.
That's great. We're going to be discussing how to build a successful course, how to market that course. Julie's a really expert in those areas. She also runs and has run excellent courses. So she's the person that should be able to give us some insights in those topics. But before we delve into the interview, I just want to quickly mention my major sponsor, and that's Gangsta Hosting. Gangsta Hosting only hosts WordPress websites. They are a fantastic hosting provider, all the bells and whistles, staging site, daily backups, great support. We host the WP-Tonic website with them, and some of our client website. I've been totally delighted with them. To support the show, go to the WP-Tonic site. If you're looking for a new host for yourself or for your clients, go to, like I say, to the WP-Tonic website. There are banner adverts for Gangsta. They are affiliate links, so you'll be helping yourself and also the show. So let's delve right into it, Julie. What have you learned? Are there any major things that come to your mind that you've learned through the years of building courses and trying to market them successful that you could share to the audience initially?
Yeah, so I think one of the greatest successes that I've seen happen over and over and over again in people who want to build courses is that if you take a backwards approach to it, sometimes you sell far more than if you go into it front ways. What I mean by that is typically and traditionally someone who has an idea for a course builds the course. They build it, then they go out and they say, okay, let me go find the people who want this. The people who back into it actually consider the sales message, the funnel, the marketing of the course as the first thing they do rather than the second thing they do. And so you build a container that the course will be in, whatever funnel, the sales page, the message, the webinar, all that kind of stuff. You actually validate your idea with a pre-sale so that you know that the market wants it. And then you build it with live students where they're going to teach you what you need to teach better than you would ever learn by yourself. In this way, it reduces the risk when you're selling a course, when you are about to invest a lot of money into building one, because you're getting paid to build it. So backing into the course with the marketing first always saves you a ton of heartache.
Totally agree with you, Julie. But the only thing is, you're a marketing expert of a high order. So I'm not going to say it ever gets easy, but you have a kind of roadmap in your mind about what's got to be done. Can you give any kind of tips when somebody's thinking of this first course about, what they've got to do around marketing and, getting that audience developed before they actually start building the course?
Yeah. So there are 3 things, and I've learned this all from Russell. I can't take credit from this, but there are 3 things that
I'm sure you've had your own ideas, Judy.
Oh, of course I do. But anyway, this is his idea. He's like, there's only 3 things you ever need to make millions of dollars with whatever it is that you want to sell. You need a hook, you need a story, and an offer. And that's it. And a hook, like in fishing, I grew up going fishing with my dad out on Long Island Sound, and we would always use bunker as our bait for the bass that we were going for. If I just hucked bunker into the ocean and then went here, fishy, 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 there'd be no way to get the striped bass to come to my boat. So the hook is what actually stops the fish from going in one direction and takes them in another. Most people forget about the hook in their sales message. They don't have anything that's going to stop someone in their tracks, whether it's on a news feed, whether it's in a podcast search, SEO, whatever. Stop them in their tracks and get them to pay attention. And that's the very first thing you have to do. And the second thing you have to do is create a story. And that story is what will keep them paying attention to you so that you stand out among all the millions of competitors everywhere. And then the offer is ultimately what sells, which is when you create that irresistible offer to a hot market that's ready to buy. And if you get those things right before you build a course, you will make money, period.
That, you made that, a great explanation. You made it sound so easy, Julie, but why is it so hard, Julie?
I think a lot of people spend a lot of their time and energy in the planning and construction mode of the thing that they are an expert at, because it's safe, it's comfortable, it's fun, we love it. Like, who doesn't love a whiteboard, like, all ready for you to like outline your course? And like, people spend tremendous amounts of energy becoming an expert at the thing, and it's awesome, but it's like, unless you're willing to become an expert at the selling of the thing, that thing is not going to get into the hands of the people who need it most.
Yep, totally understand. So have you got some tips and insights about how people start this road about, becoming more proficient on the marketing side?
Okay, yeah. So
only small questions, Julie.
Yeah, I know, small questions. So the first thing is, if you kind of the offer creation process we take people through, no matter what you're selling, a course on gardening, a course on beauty, on, I can't even think off the top of my head, piano lessons, whatever it happens to be, you have to somehow figure out where your niche, where your market, what hot market it's in. Because don't try to sell in a market that's not hot, right? And 3 hot markets are health, wealth, and relationships. They're always going to be hot. People want to be healthy, people want to be in love, and people want money. So if you're selling a course on beauty, that's actually a relationship product, because why do we want to be beautiful? We want to be beautiful for relationships. So first, I take any course and we try to identify what 3 market is it in. And then we have to figure out, all right, those are really bloody red competitive oceans. So how do we create your blue ocean? How do we make you stand out? And one of the fastest ways to do that is to simply throw rocks at the prevailing wisdom. So you throw rocks at whatever. So let's say you want to sell a course on getting thin, right? Well, what's the prevailing wisdom? The prevailing wisdom, Atkins, South Beach, keto. So you have to throw rocks at all of those methods, and that will immediately pull you out of the competition and give you the opportunity to create something unique. And once you have that something unique, then we look for the hook, the story around that unique something, and then we create an amazing offer. And usually, if you get all of those things right, you make millions.
So what do you mean by rocks? You mean be controversial, go against the prevailing
wisdom of the day.
Right. Not be one of those sheep, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. You have to pull yourself out. And sometimes it doesn't have to be controversial. I mean, if you think about the guy who did bulletproof coffee, right? There was a million books out there doing keto, doing low carb. He didn't really say that was wrong, but he kind of created his own unique thing with butter and coffee. That was the combination of a little bit of removing himself from the grain and creating a good hook. Because I'm telling you, anyone says put butter in your coffee, your first response is, wait, what did you just say? Right? That's a hook. It stops you in your tracks. And then he has a good story, and he has research, and then he has a crazy good offer, and it's really brandable, and boom, he's a bajillionaire.
Right. So that's step one. So so after that, So after you found your sector and you started throwing some rocks and you've starting to build a audience, what's next, Judy?
So you build an audience, you throw rocks. Really, then it's where the rubber hits the road. You have to, I always say it's really good to launch with 1,000 like 1,000 leads, right? Because that's like a good number. So you got to get your first 1,000 people to be paying attention to you. And then, I hate to say this, people always cringe, but it's pretty normal for buy rates off of 1,000 person list to be around 1 to 5% if you're new. So that's what you want to look for. 1 to 5% of your 1,000 person audience should buy. And if they buy, then you keep going. If nobody buys, then that means that either your offer wasn't what people wanted, or your hook just wasn't good enough to get them to pay attention.
Yes, wise words. So how big do you think video is now in marketing courses and in courses in general?
Video?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Video? Just like content video, or like video inside the course itself?
Both. Let's talk about both.
Yeah. I mean, video is huge. If you're not on video, you're dead to me. I'm a reader, so I'm not even a big video watcher, and I spend about $60,000 a year on video production because I know how important it is. So video is absolutely, you've got to be on video, whether it's live stream or pre-record, doesn't matter. On Instagram and Facebook both, and YouTube too. Forgot about YouTube. But inside a course, I often, people often ask me like, well, how much can I charge for this course? And then they'll tell me that it's 20 modules, and like they'll think that the price is related to the module, like how much content is in there. And it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with how fast you can get the results. So believe it or not, one of my fastest ROI courses is like a 3-hour course. I charge $700 for a 3-hour course, but the return on investment and what they're able to do with that is what demands the value. There's very, very little video in that course. So it's, to me, when I actually create courses, I use video when video is necessary for walkthroughs and screen shares and things like that. Otherwise, I do audio with binder notes. So they're not transcripts, they're actually binder notes so that you could read it, because it's hard to read the transcript, at least to me it is. And so you can listen like when you're working out. And so that's how I deliver my courses: audio with binder notes and videos for all the walkthroughs.
So thanks for that, Julie. That was great. How do you get your ideas for your new courses? How do they come to you?
So new courses usually happen, like the more that you're bumping into people in real life, the more likely you're going to have ideas. So most of my new courses come from my students from my old courses. But at some point I didn't have students and I had to think of something. So that was often, I was an agency owner prior to doing my courses. So I built courses based on my experience in my agency doing digital marketing. And so that's where I got my original ideas. Everybody has something that they're passionate about. And if you're not sure what kind of course to create from that, you can do some research and see what's already selling. That's actually a good news. If something's already selling, you can go on Amazon, you can look for best-selling, see if the best-selling books are ranked 100,000 or less on the Kindle store. That means that people are monetizing that information. And then also look at what people bitch about, right? And like if they're complaining, like it's usually a good grounds for a product.
I love it. All right. Well, I'll be English, so we're notorious for. There we are. So I think I'm correct. I'm sure you put me right that you know a fair bit about Facebook and Facebook marketing. Poor old Facebook. Well, they're not that poor, are they? They've been getting a lot of negative press, to say the least. Do you still see Facebook as a great platform for marketing your course in general?
Yes, 100%. I mean, I just laugh hysterically when people tell me their audience isn't on Facebook. I'm like, there are 2 billion people on Facebook. What do you market to, like Caribou? Like, what are you talking about? It's crazy.
All right. We're going to go for our break, folks. And when we come back, Cindy, the intelligent part of this duo, is going to take over the interview with Julie. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. We've had a great discussion with Julie. Hopefully I haven't bored her too much. Cindy, off you go.
Well, thanks so much, Julie, for all of your insight. It's so good to get somebody who's like really relates to what it takes to build membership sites and online courses. So I just wanted to kind of go back to one of your comments about the 1,000 people magic number, about, might be a good benchmark to kind of have before you really start to want to, launch anything to them. So what advice do you have around building up to that $1,000 number?
Yeah. So I know that it like, oh, just get 1,000 people. I mean, you can get 1,000 people really fast with some good Facebook ads. You can get it in, a week. They will be pretty cold, so you will have to be pretty charismatic, but you can do it. A lot of people, though, like to do a combination of both paid and organic methods. One of the fastest ways to get an audience is to do podcast interviews, is to get in the company of people who already have audiences, and then make sure you have a really, really good lead magnet, something really juicy and free that you can direct people to whenever you're on a stage, on a podcast, guest post, whatever it happens to be. I also recommend, the largest conglomeration of groups anywhere in the world are on Facebook. And a lot of people use Facebook groups, but then they don't use them well. They humble brag, they post, they spam, they do all this kind of stuff. In one of my courses, I actually teach a method. I call it influencer marketing, but the idea is that if you are just not that guy or not that girl, that annoying person, but you're actually a valuable player in a group, if you turn your Facebook profile into a funnel, you will have more leads than you know what to do with. And most of my agency students who start agencies use this method, and they make Facebook profile their funnel. They show up, they are the totally valuable, polarizing, awesome person in a group, and they've got leads for days. So you can do that. You can do SEO, you can do other kinds of organic marketing, you can do Instagram, and then of course, Facebook ads to free offers to build your first 1,000 people.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about turning your Facebook into a funnel. What does that mean, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so a lot of people focus on their Facebook page when they get started in business, and then they keep their Facebook profile locked down for friends and family. The very first thing you need to do if you want to do this method is you have to get comfortable being public about who you are and what you do on your profile. And there are like 7 or 8 different access points on your profile. If someone goes to creep on your profile and check you out, there's a lot of opportunity for them to, what I would call, say, fall into your funnel, whether it's links in the side, the about section, the cover photos, the featured image photo, the latest posts on your timeline. I tend to use that as a bait area where I deliberately stick bait right before I go into a group. Because if you are good in a group, if you are amazingly valuable, incredibly polarizing, hilariously funny, people will click on your name and go to your profile. And you want your profile ready to capture that lead by adding links and entry points into your free offers all over your profile.
That's awesome. That's great. And it's so, I know because I've been in Facebook groups as well, and I sure as heck know the people who contribute a lot, add value, and I've also clicked on their profiles to see what they've got
Absolutely.
there too.
Yeah.
That's great. And so, a number of questions, or I've been asked a number of times in terms of how do you know, if people, so we have people who listen to this podcast are interested in creating membership sites or online courses. How do they know when they're ready to create one? When should they be starting to think, okay, yes, now it makes sense for me to have this as part of my business?
If they can get a result for people that people want, they're ready. I mean, it's really just that simple. If you can teach me something I want to know, then you're ready to teach it. But that means that you have to be comfortable in being fairly certain that you can reproduce the result you got for yourself in somebody else. So typically what I say is, did you get the result for yourself? Yes or no? Okay, awesome. That's like half the battle. Now, the second question is, did you get the result for somebody else? Because sometimes what we can do for ourselves, we don't quite know how to duplicate it in somebody else. If you have done both of those things, you're ready. You're ready.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I love it, especially because they should also know how they go about doing it. You know, it's not just it's something that happens by accident. So take us back maybe a little bit, Julie, as to when you first started your membership sites and your online courses. What are some of the wisdom pieces that, you know, that you remember or you wish you had known when you started out, or what were some of the mistakes that you made when you first started out?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I think, you know, one of the mistakes that I made was that I would often follow people that were so many steps ahead of me. I would get really discouraged, oftentimes because those people didn't really identify all the steps that they took to get where they are, right? They tell like key, like highlight reels, but they don't actually tell like the nitty gritty. And so it caused a lot of pain and heartache for me, thinking like, because you do this comparisonitis. So it's one of the things that I've tried really hard to get rid of in my own business. Because like, for example, the first time I did courses, I had no idea what I was doing. I had heard about doing this thing called a webinar. No idea that you were supposed to sell at the end of the webinar, but I was like, oh, let me practice. And so I was like, what am I good at? Well, I'm good at MailChimp. I'm like, all right. So I set up a landing page and a registration page, and I was like, I'll spend $100, see what happens. So I spent $100 on Facebook ads, told people I was going to do a MailChimp workshop. I got 100 people to register, which I got like $1 a lead. I was super stoked. I was like, awesome. And then I had about 30 people show up live. And so I got on live, I showed them MailChimp, and then I shut the webinar down. I didn't even sell anything. And so then I get off. I was like, well, that was fun. And so then I get off and I'm like, I think I was supposed to sell something. I was like, I don't have anything to sell. And so I was like, well, I could make them newsletter templates. So I emailed them all. I'm like, by the way, if you saw that webinar and you're interested and you want a newsletter template, I'll do a special for you. And then I got like 15 people to buy this newsletter. I was like, oh, look at that. And so then I did this a couple more times, and I kept getting like newsletter clients, right? And then I'd get them on the phone and I'd upsell them in my agency, so I started to make money. And then one day I was like, I've got all these MailChimp leads. I might as well put these together and sell them it. And so I put all the workshops together, added a few more, stuck it on a free Teachable account, and sold it for $15, and I got 100 people to buy it. That's how I started, right? Like it was so just like imperfect action, figuring it out as I went. Like I did not take, I didn't try to like build a 17,000 module, $997 course out of the gate.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny, the people that I've heard that have been so successful at building courses or selling courses is they forge ahead. They don't worry about making mistakes or failing. They just get her done, learn from it, and see where things happen.
Exactly.
So what do you say to those people who have, you know, created these courses and they haven't got the success that they've wanted? What advice, where would you go with somebody like that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard when you've created something and it hasn't sold. You feel so attached to it. You don't want to destroy your baby, but you got to destroy your baby. So there's a couple things you can do with your baby. You can rip it all apart and find the pieces that are really good, repurpose them into little 1-hour masterclasses or lead magnets or whatever you want to do. I would try to like harvest the best you can out of that. And then I would say, you need to go through the very painful process of detaching yourself from your idea of what kind of course you want, your idea of what kind of container you want. Oh, I want a membership site. Oh, I want a group coaching program. Oh, I want whatever. And instead put that all down and go attach yourself to an audience. Because if you attach yourself to a group of people that you love, that you care about, that you want to serve, if you make a mistake and you don't get it right the first try, nothing's lost. You still have the people. You just try something new, try until something hits. But if you're attaching yourself to products or software or like ideas, it's anybody's guess if you're right or not. And then letting go is going to be really, really hard.
Awesome. That's fabulous advice. Jonathan, how are we doing for time? Are you good?
You got time for another question or two questions?
Okay, sure. So, in line with that, you know, finding that audience, what do you think is the best approach for, you know, finding who your specific niche is, or like how to find like the people that you resonate with? What approach would you recommend?
Well, it all boils down to like, what result do you want to produce in the world? What impact do you want? Like, what gets you out of bed in the morning? Because I guarantee you, if you're just doing this for passive income, you're going to quit because it's not passive and it's hard. It's like hard. It's just not. So like, what gets you up in the morning? What makes you excited? What result do you see happen in people? And you're just like, yes, I just want to do that over and over and over again. And that's how you find your people. Then you're like, all right, I love it. Like I was thinking like of gardening, you know, I love helping people be able to grow their own food and watch them like sustain themselves. Like it's amazing, right? So who are those people? Are they city dwellers? Are they farmers? Are they stay-at-home moms that want to feed their families better? Like who are those people that are going to want that result? And that's where you start.
And how specific do you think they need to be about who that audience is?
The more specific, the better, but don't get stopped there. Cause some people are like, oh, I can't figure it out. Right. Just stop, just keep going. Obviously if you can be super specific, that will help you in the get a competitive advantage. If you can't, then I would just do, a little bit more like where you cast a wider net and you start to see who the people are that are responding. I had a therapist once who wanted to do online courses. He had a thriving practice. He had no idea. He's like, am I serving men? Am I serving women? He did couples therapy. He's like, I don't know. And I was like, you know what? And at the time, Facebook Live wasn't a thing, which is crazy that there wasn't a thing. Like what happened before Facebook Live? But he wrote 3 blog posts, and we specifically wrote 3 blog posts for 3 different avatars: a woman, a man who was an asshole, and then a man who was like trying to save his marriage. Right. So we wrote 3 blog posts. We threw ads at him to see which one would bite. And it was the guy who was trying to save his marriage who, I see John, he's like laughing hysterically, but that was what we did. And that was the guy. So we're like, okay, there's your avatar.
That's awesome. Cause it's like, if you don't know, find out in some way, right? If you don't know, ask or test it in some way to figure it out.
But now you don't
I'm tempted to ask you, which one do you think are?
Yeah, well, so the good news is you don't have to go through the painstaking trouble of writing blog posts. Just do 3 Facebook Lives, shove $20 at each, and see which one bites.
Oh, I love that. That's a great idea.
All right, I think we'll wrap up the podcast part of the show now, folks. Hopefully, Julie, she's a busy lady, but hopefully she can stay on for another 10 minutes for bonus content. So, Julie, if people want to know more about you, what you're up to, what you're offering, how do they find out, Julie?
Yeah, the best place to go is my website. It outlines everything I do. I teach affiliate marketing, digital marketing. I teach agency stuff. I'm all over the place. So you go to juliestoian.com, STOIAN.com. I should never have changed my name. Nobody gets it. juliestoian.com. I've got so much content over there. I've got a free class.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm a real fan of Julie. There's a lot of people that say they're experts on online marketing, and be quite truthful, most of them are a bit iffy. Julie is a exception. She really does know what she's talking about. Cindy, how can people find out more about what you're up to and what you do?
Oh, thanks, Jonathan. You can come visit me at thecoursewhisperer.co if you're thinking about putting a course together and kind of don't know where to start, need some help and some direction.
And if you want to get more resources about how to build a course, the technology, all the issues that we discussed in the podcast, go to the WP-Tonic website. We've got a couple new really detailed posts on the website. We've got some great interviews. It's a great resource. I just want to say, Julie, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And if you really want to support the show, go to iTunes and leave us a review. It really does help the show. We'll be back next week with somebody doing something with WordPress, building courses, or online marketing in general. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Right. Want to continue? Can you continue for another 5-10 minutes, Julie? Or do you? Oh, that's great. Thanks, Julie. Continue, Cindy. You were doing much better than I was. Right.
So just again, kind of drilling into the whole online course membership site. How do you decide whether you do a membership or an online course? Is there a thought process?
So I have this like hierarchy of difficulty when people are starting, and it also depends on how much time and capital you have. Obviously, certain content is better as a course than as a membership. In general, this is what I would say though. The easiest thing to sell online is services first, right? So like if somebody wants to do a course, I'm like, you know what, can you try teaching this to one person, one-on-one first and see how that goes? And so I often recommend like a coaching consulting thing if they're just starting out. Done for you services, agencies make money the fastest. They're not scalable, but they make money the fastest. So if you're broke, I'm always like, go sell services. Once you get out of the service market, a course, I think, is way easier to sell than a membership, only because the membership, you are making people raise their hand and go through the sales process every single solitary month. So you better be freaking good at what you do. And you better really be compelling, because unless you're selling a membership that's like $5 a month that people don't feel, like my membership's $50 a month, that stings every month. So they've got to think, it's really worth $50 a month every single month. So don't do that to yourself unless you're really, really sure that your content requires a membership. Just sell it as a course. Some people come to me, they have a membership. They're already like, they've got 100, 150 members. And I was like, okay, that's fine. You can sell it. I love doing this on sales pages, being like, hey, it's $20 a month or $97 for unlimited access. And then what you're essentially doing is giving people the opportunity to do a month-to-month version in a membership, or they can just buy it as if it's a course. And then you get more money because 90% of people choose that. We know the average churn rate's 3 months. So if you're selling $20 a month, the most you're probably going to get out of people is $60. You're going to get them to pay $100, have unlimited access, and there you go.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great idea. I haven't heard of that strategy before, but I love it.
I do it all the time.
That's great. And so how do you structure your membership so that you are able to justify the $50 a month?
Yeah. So right now my membership is my membership is a classic example of a snowball that rolled down the hill before I had a chance to stop it. So, you know, I don't know that I would do what I'm doing if I were to start over, but it's like, it's what I've got. So right now I do a $1 2-week trial to $49 a month. Right now, my membership acts as a lead gen tool for my course. So people join the $1. I hope that in 2 weeks, they're willing to at least pay $50. I know if I can get them for $50 and they're in that for another 30 days, the membership area is where I also coach and teach all of my students from my course. So the FOMO, the fear of missing out, is so real that most people who stay for a month will eventually upgrade to my full course, which is $2,000. So that's kind of how I use my membership right now. And then it just becomes this amazing community. I've got new leads coming in. I've got students. I do weekly coaching in there. And then what I do is if people come from the other direction, if they buy the course first, I give them an entire year membership free, just like as part of it. And then if they want to renew, I give them a super, super discounted rate. It's really just enough for me to cover the costs of like supporting the group. It gives me a little bit of recurring revenue because after people are done with the course, they'll still pay $199 a year to stay in the group.
All right. Awesome. That's great. Jonathan, pass it back to you.
Yes, Cindy. Yes.
Hello.
The man that can't get Facebook Live to work. Right. Yeah. You've been quite open about, about your background, and you were in a bad place. And then you managed to build something, what would you say if you could go back in time and talk to the old Julie? What would you say to her at that moment?
I don't know that I would have believed myself. I mean, like, I don't know that I could have said anything that would have made me believe that what was about to happen was going to happen, because I didn't have a lot of confidence. I think one of the biggest mistakes I made when I was starting is I thought that skill is what gets you out there, gets you a following. And I was like, it has nothing to do with skill, because there's a lot of really dumb, unskilled people making a lot of money. And so I was always like focused on like being the best at whatever skill it was, WordPress, design, copy, until I realized that the actual thing that matters is relationships and who you're connected to. And if I had known that, I would have spent so much more money focusing on making those strategic connections than on becoming the best and learning CSS and, you know, just like nitty gritty in the weeds. Because it took me a long time to figure out that I wasn't supposed to be working in my business, but on it. And I was stuck in that trap for a long time.
Can you expand just a little bit? What made you what can you think of the turning point that you realized, and what was there a key relationship that made a difference?
Yeah, I think that's kind of when Russell Brunson entered my world. I was a provider. I was building websites. I was charging stupidly low prices. And I remember reading Russell's books. I think it was .com Secrets. And I was like, I am so obsessed with getting good at WordPress design, which is awesome. Like, and I'm good at it, and I got really good at it. But like, what I should be obsessed with is selling websites, not how good I can be. And I should find somebody who's really good at it, who's a specialist, and I should just hire him, and he should do it, and I should sell it. And
or
like, that was,
or she,
right. At the time, it was Stu, was this coder guy that I like was crushing on, because like he had amazing sites, and I would like follow the footer, and then I'd pay him on Skype if he would like teach me CSS. And then I was like, why am I doing this? Like, he should just do it. I was like trying so hard to like amass, you know, expert level coding abilities. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's what changed. I was like, oh, okay, I'm a marketer now. I'm not a web designer. I'm a marketer. And so I switched around. I started becoming obsessed with the selling, started building a team that would actually do the fulfillment and do it really well. And that's when my prices started to go up, and that's when everything sort of shifted.
Got a final question, Cindy, and then we'll let Judy go off.
Just the final question would be, what advice would you have for people who are just starting out in terms of creating courses or membership sites?
I would say that is as fun as it is to think that there's a shiny magic bullet. There is none. So I'd rather crush your dreams now than later. Pick one mentor who is your plumb line and do what they say, and don't keep looking for 8,000 people, because you will, like, it just won't work. Just pick someone, do what they say, and there's 8,000 ways to skin a cat. Once you've picked your person, stay with them, give it a good effort before you go looking for a shiny object somewhere else.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Judy. It's been a pleasure with this discussion. You've been given so many insights, and hopefully sometime you agree to come back on the show. I just really loved it.
Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
That's all right. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye.